Jimmy, please say something.
Fuck you.
James?
What's that? I can't hear you over My Chemical Romance and my shitty Eminem music because I hate my stepdad so much. Well, I'm banging your 25-cent hooker of a mom.
I smell like cigarettes.
So in short, we have our protagonist, James Jimmy Hopkins. He's been being a little stinker at home with his whore mom and his geriatric stepfather. So to counteract his bad behavior, they send him to a boarding school known as
Bullworth Academy.
Was there supposed to be like pyrotechnics? Where's the WWE entrance music?
Bullworth Academy. Anyway, I can't spend my life waiting around for naughty little boys. I've got a man to make happy. Don't keep Dr. Crabblesnitch waiting. He's a brilliant man. Brilliant.
Sounds like a World War II evil German scientist. Dr. Zernitsky will be there to inject all the Crabblesnitch in the world.
You've done a lot of naughty things, haven't you?
So here I am at probably the worst school in the country.
The game is split up into 5 chapters, with none of them really connecting with each other. Sure, you have reoccurring characters and places, but the plot differs. In Chapter 1, you pretty much become familiar with your surroundings at Bullworth and all the characters, but first, you get jumped by 6 kids before you even get your school uniform, simply because he the new kid, he no play football, me violent, cow go oink. In this segment, you learn the combos and hand-to-hand fighting. That's most of the in-game combat. See, unlike other Rockstar games where your main goal is to get a fuck ton of money and kill gang NPCs, you really are just trying to make it through your delinquent life laid out for you, and keep your head above water in school. So maybe the politicians won't freak out and label Rockstar Games as the reason why gas prices are ballooning, or why their cousin died in Iraq. Nope, they fucking dubbed it Columbine Simulator. Yeah, I fucking loved the mission where Jimmy set pipe bombs in the school cafeteria, then committed suicide. After you beat up the bullies and make your way to the dorm, you meet an important character, Gary. He reminds me of one of those "we live in a society" memes, because he fucking talks in Vampire Diaries dialogue the entire game.
Don't lie, Petey. Don't you lie. Because you know what happens to liars?
Get what you fucking deserve!
You also meet Pete. Jimmy seems a bit cynical to the very welcoming but seemingly square Pete.
Give up the tough guy act, pal.
Hey man, what's your problem?
Well, ADD primarily, but also life, my parents, this school, Western civilization, but
I slept only 2 hours last night and I had 6 Bang energy drinks for breakfast.
over there we got the nerds.
Oh my god! A Jaden Simpson High Fivers cameo! I'm so excited!
I'm tired of your bullshit. And those are the preps. Now over there are the greasers. They think they're tough. And last but not least, the jocks. These guys rule the school. Definitely avoid them.
Oh man, there's that weird chick Eunice. Let's have some fun with her. He took my chocolate! Please get it back.
Don't worry, Chris Farley, I'll get it back.
Thanks! Wanna make out? Sheesh.
This should be called the female-on-male sexual assault simulator created by Terry Crews. So in this game, you have a bell schedule that will tell you where to go, and you have normal school schedules. Avoid class and be caught, that is a truancy. Or you can go participate in classes like chemistry, gym class, art, biology, geography, music, and math. I really enjoy the gym class one because you get to wrestle. There's no other real wrestling games out there, so this is the closest I guess we'll get to it. This one hits close because I'm a wrestler. Yeah, believe it or not, this is a cauliflower ear. I didn't get some fucking Legolas plastic surgery. The boss fights are quite funny because it's like the Dark Souls layout, but instead of some mystical name like Gravelord Nito, it says like Davis or Paul. You can use bricks and sticks to hit opponents whenever they're laid out, and you can use energy drinks for health. You see, Jimmy lives for the now. He doesn't care about the stents in his heart rupturing in 60 years. After beating Davis, you get the slingshot, which is probably the most commonly used weapon in the game. You can do a lot with this weapon, like snipe from trees or use it as cover fire. I really like the climbing mechanics in this game. It's very enjoyable to use, and honestly I think it's better than the GTA 5 climbing mechanics.
Let's go out and torment someone really helpless and unfortunate. That homeless guy.
You know what, kid? I like your style. You got guts. When I was on that ridge in Korea, watching my buddies get killed by friendly fire,
my
I could
God.
have used somebody like you.
When I was in rural China, between the years of 1953 and 1976, I could have used somebody like you to help me memorize Mao's Little Red Book. Chairman Mao's Little Red Book.
Just get me a part for my radio and I'll show you what the army taught me.
Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister.
By helping out some of the nerds beat the greasers, you're given some cash and a skateboard. The skateboard makes it a lot easier to get around. While attending classes and being a normal kid at a boarding school, you also do missions with Gary and Pete, which Gary's cringy ass calls it, taking over the school. At the end of Chapter 1, Gary betrays you and takes you to a secluded sewer underneath the school on a wild goose chase just to pit you in an old school pit fight with the school gorilla Russell. This might be the easiest boss fight of all time because he's so slow physically and mentally.
Gary, now I hate you.
That if you don't stop button mashing, you will make it out without even getting hit. An anticlimactic end to what I think was the funniest and most entertaining chapter of the game. In Chapter 2, titled Rich Kid Blues, you get into town and off campus for the first time to run some errands for the cafeteria lady. You meet a kid named Parker who heard about your domination of Russell in the pit fight and invites you to come box with him at the club. I hate it when they only record like 2 lines for the characters, so it just repeats the same shit over and over. Take a fucking shot every time he says,
That's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. That's the best you can do.
You knock out Parker and you put your first dent into the confidence of the preps. You then meet one of the prep girls, Pinky, who is quite obviously on your dick and balls, and you get rid of some moviegoers for her. This game is very realistic to my life, because every girl in it is taller than me. You enter a boxing tournament, which is really fun. You win an entire fucking beach house, because yes, every 15-year-old can afford to give that away. The highlight is you meet the only black person named Chad in the entire fucking world. You head to the carnival and meet one of the midgets who comes equipped with the controls from the Scarface video game. It's not even fucking touching anything, what the fuck? Gay-ass Gary comes back and tries to spread more lies about you, so you can get on the bad side of your new friends. I honestly don't know why Jimmy just doesn't beat the shit out of him. Like, he has no other problem doing it to anybody else, but, like, why not Gary? In the end of the chapter, you beat up a guy named Biff in a boxing match. Rockstar definitely took a lot of inspiration from Back to the Future with the guy named Biff, and one of the teachers who definitely reminds me of Doc Brown. Another thing that I think gave this game a lot of inspiration was the book The Catcher in the Rye. Jimmy is a lot like the book's protagonist, Holden Caulfield. Both kind of insufferable assholes, but you kind of have to root for them because they're the protagonist, and no other reason other than that. Both very cynical and outcasted. They don't like any of the social cliques with few expectations. Both are bad kids who have family issues. They were sent to boarding school. They like to sneak off campus and do missions and to get into more mature behavior in the city. From what I've heard, nobody has ever made this connection before, but when I read The Catcher in the Rye for the first time, I thought of Bully immediately, and honestly get some of the plot pieces mixed up from time to time. Chapters 3 and 4 honestly don't hold that much weight in my opinion. In Chapter 3, it's winter now, and you've got to bring down the Greaser Club. You beat up some midgets and star in a school Christmas play. You shoot some greaser kids on a bike with your slingshot, one of Rockstar Games' favorite forms of missions. I'm glad to see Kyle Massey from Corey in the house beat the pedophile allegations to help bring me down. In this chapter, you help spread some propaganda. I have no idea what the fuck happened to Pinky, but this Lola bitch likes you now. I literally thought they were the same fucking person before they said Lola's name. Chapter 3 ends with you winning a rumble and beating up their leader named Johnny. Now the greasers are gay, and Jimmy fucks a ton of pussy. In Chapter 4, it's down with the almighty jocks. But first you gotta take down the nerds because you need their help and they refuse it. So once you get them on their side, you unlock the Spud Gun. You take out the jocks in multiple sporting games, beating them in their own arena. And then you help protect the nerds after beating up some jocks at the carnival, which turned into like a sort of horror level. Before I even got to this part, I always knew they were going to do this, like with the carnival. Like, how could you not? How could you resist? You sneak into the girls' dorm room to take pictures of the cheerleaders showering for the nerds. So they have something else to jack off to other than fucking Game of Thrones titties. You also fucking snatch dirty panties for the gym teacher, which is fucking weird that his name is Mr. Burton. Yeah, that was just fucking weird. One of the cheerleaders falls in love with you too, because who can't resist Incrediboy Jimmy Hopkins? You beat up the mascot, take the disguise to help you bring down the jocks once and for all. You beat the shit out of quarterback Ted, and now Chapter 4 has came and went. In Chapter 5, titled The Rise and Fall of Jimmy Hopkins, aged 15, Jimmy has turned into everything he hates. No longer a sly, cynical bully, but a smug, preppy, chick magnet asshole. You go into town way more often in this chapter than any other. And in other news, Miss Phillips, the art teacher, wants to fuck you. The gym teacher thinks you burned down the gym. You break Johnny out of the insane asylum to save your rep. You beat up a new group of kids called the Dropouts. And then you push Mr. Burton off a cliff. Probably the most interesting part is that you get fucking Kyle Massey fired for taking bribes. It turns out you also get expelled from Bulworth for vandalism. Gary was the guy that ratted you out. But they have to let you stay for the time being because your mom is still trying to find her fucking hide vape or some shit. You return to the asylum to beat up King Retard Edgar. It turns out Gary sent him to fuck with you. In a rage, you return to fuck Gary up once and for all. And then you get a scene that tells us Gary has taken up the school, but you have to read it because the music is too loud. In Custer's Last Stand, you go beat up all the bosses from earlier a second time to get them to tell you where Gary is. Gary exposes himself on the loudspeaker calling you a fucking cum dumpster or some shit. And then you do another chase doing some sick fucking parkour. It all comes down to this. You get to beat the shit out of Gary while you fall from multiple scaffolds. After beating Gary, Jimmy James Boy runs to the headmaster and gets Gary expelled. You're not expelled, Pete is the new head of the school, and everything is great. In conclusion, Bully is a very fun game. It's charming in all the way it needs to be. It plays well, and it doesn't get boring. You can breeze through it in a day and in one sitting and ask yourself, where did the time go? Yes, I've seen better writing for public access TV shows.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the live edition of Let's Paint, Exercise, and let's make blended drinks tonight, and we're taking your calls. All these wonderful things that we can do all at the same time.
But at the same time, it's relatable, witty, and pretty entertaining. It has this thing like every 80s high school movie where all these stereotypes and teachers can't help the fucking chaos from bullies and numbskulls, which is like really cliche and not true at fucking all, but for some reason in video game form, I really enjoy it. To me, this is the second best high school game, behind Roblox High. Please like and subscribe. I'm a young man, rich man, fully equipped. Young man got money and he's gonna do shit. Find a damn good MILF and fuck on your bitch with a 6-inch Glock and a 7-inch dick.